Everyone, please check your audio and video settings, please. Yeah, everyone, please check your audio and video settings. Is everything okay? Yes. Yeah. So let me clarify one thing. While working with these servers, boss, while working with these new concepts, especially servers, problems are quite common. Some people are losing their temperament when problems are coming. So yesterday, Glassfish server configuration has taken bit of time. People are losing their patience. See, servers are not there in our control. IDs are not there in our control. Yes, and that analyzation is most important to solve the problem. That's the reason I'm trying to give multiple options for you people. So this is not core Java. Everything happens in a single file and a single line, or 10 lines of code or 20 lines of code. It is advanced topics, boss. It is definitely what advanced topics. You should have multiple technologies, multiple servers, integration. So one or other setup issues will be there. Sometimes everything good, Eclipse ID will give problem. So you should have a patience. Without patience, nothing can be achieved in companies. These problems are quite common in the company, because when you are integrating so many things, definitely issues will be there. Hmm. Okay, boss. Yes. Hmm. Yes, I think already I shared the project, yesterday's project. Hmm. Now listen, right. If you look at yesterday's application, boss, if you look at yesterday's application, we have not closed session object and session factory object. What is there, sir? Oh, you can close here now. What is there? I shared, Babu. I shared already. NTHB 914 master means already I shared. Shared, Babu. It is showing it is shared. When you check it, I think I have shared bit lately yesterday. Okay, I'm sharing one more time. Anyhow, I have to do so many improvisation on that project. Yes. Okay, now listen. Product DAO IMPL. I have not closed session. I have not closed session factory in this application. Optional, that's why application is running, output is coming, boss. But better programmer, as a good practice, you have to think about closing them or not. Sir, what is there? You come here. You come here. Say what? Hibernate util dot close session factory. Are you understanding my point? Yes. Hibernate util dot close session factory, sir. Close session. Yeah. In web application, or when you are involving thread local in the session object creation, you cannot do like this. Why? Why, sir? Let us assume get product method is internally calling get vendor method. Get product method is internally calling what? Get vendor method. Are you getting my point? Now tell me here. In get vendor method also you called hibernate util to close session. Come on, guys. Okay, if session object is closed there, okay, when it come back, here session object will be there. Think logically, my dears. See, at the end of every method, if you are closing session object, boss, okay, if one persistence method is calling another persistence method, okay, so once control goes to other method, session gone. But what is our requirement, boss? What is our requirement? All persistence operations of a request should use the same session. Same session. Okay. I will tell like this. I will give more clarity like this. Listen carefully. This is my DAO class. DAO class. Here we are having public product, get product into PID. It is internally calling what is that? Session SCS is equal to hibernate util dot get session. Hibernate util dot get session. Use session. Use SCS. Okay. Use SCS. Listen, this is today's concept is very, very important. It bit heavy also. Please focus. I called one more method, get vendor. Get vendor VID. I called one more method, okay, get location LID. At the end, I said hibernate util dot close session. It will take care of closing session object. So this looks very nice. I got the session. Using that session, I got product, load product, use session and perform what? Load product. Things looks very interesting. Okay, load product. Using same session, get the vendor. Using same session, get the location, close the session. When the issue comes, so here vendor is there, get vendor into VID, into VID. Here, here session SCS is equal to hibernate util dot get session. Tell me, it will create a new session. It will use already available session because of thread local. Because of thread local, it will use already available session or not. It will definitely use already available session. Understanding my point there. Load vendor. Load vendor. Here I closed it. Hibernate util dot close session. Sir, don't close na. Who knows, boss? My request may call only this method separately. My request may call only this method separately. That's why better to close it now. Come on, guys. Request may call get product may call get vendor, get location. That's the one way. Request may call directly only get vendor. At that time, whatever session object came, that should be closed or not. Same thing for get location. I need to do same thing for get location. What do you say, guys? Here is my what? Get location. LID. LID. Load location. LID. What is there? Load location. Are you comfortable with me or not? I want reply. This to this, this to this. Yeah. Where is the issue, you know? Okay. Let us assume here it is using session object. Session 1. Let us assume session 1. Here also it will use same session 1. Here also it uses same session 1. Up to this, no tension, boss. But where is the tension, you know? Okay. Product is loaded. Get vendor is called. Same session is used. But that session is closed here. That session is closed here. When control comes back, when you call get location, tell me what happened. Since that session is closed, for get location, it is going to use what? New session, because existing session is gone. That means again we are deviating from our basic thought or not. Again we are deviating from our basic thought or not. So our simple solution, don't call get close session here, don't close session here. Then tension will not be there, sir. Then tension will not be there. But no, who knows? I may call get vendor separately for one request, get location separately from one request. Come on. That time better to close the session, na? That time better to close the session or not? So then what should I do, sir? You only say better to close. You only say closing is giving problem. Don't close session in the persistence methods. Always prefer closing session in the request listener. What listener here? Servlet request listener. That means don't close here. Don't close here. Don't close here. Always prefer closing in what? Servlet request listener. When the servlet request listener will execute here, when request object is created, listener will execute. When request object is destroyed, listener will execute. First part you leave it. Second part is what? When request object is destroyed. When request object is destroyed. Tell me, one request, one session. When request object is destroyed means all persistence operation, all activities and request is over na. At that time, if I close the session, it would be easy or not? At that time, if I close the session, it would be easy or not? I am involving servlet listeners, boss. I am involving servlet listeners here. Today you need some maturity. See, without telling all these things also, I can wind up this project. But in real time, it's not going to work out. So we have to think how real time people thinks. So that's why I'm not hesitating to teach bit depth. But open your brain. Open your brain to receive my depthness. Please. What's the final conclusion? In web application, while working with thread local based session object, while working with the thread local based session object. Are you getting my point? Okay. Better not to close the session at the end of every persistence method. At the end of every persistence method, better to close session, in request destroyed method of servlet request listener. Request destroyed method of servlet request listener. I hope you convinced it with me. I hope everyone got my thought. Okay. When this request listener will execute twice. When request object is created, when request object is destroyed. But right now, created, we don't bother. We are worried about destroyed. We are worried about destruction part. Okay, sir, how to develop that listener, sir? You have to develop that listener by taking a class that implements what? Request listener interface. See what I am doing? I am adding one package called com.nt.listner. Listener. Okay. Class. What is this? Session closing listener. Session closing servlet listener. Session closing servlet request listener. Session closing servlet request listener. Add servlet request listener. Finish. First of all, tell me how to make it as a listener, boss. Web listener. How to make it as listener with the annotation called web listener. I think in my servlet classes you studied all these things. Come on, guys. Right. Okay. Now, actually, two methods are there. Request initialized, which execute whenever request object is created. Request destroyed, which execute whenever request object is destroyed. So today we have any work with this? No. Today we have any work with request created? No. We have work with only this part. What is the part? Hibernate util dot. Hibernate util dot. What is that? Close session. Hibernate util dot close session. And now you observe. Request one came called get product. Same thread. Got the session one object. Okay. Get vendor. Use the same session, got the vendor. Get location. Using same session, got the same thing. Okay. Now I'm assuming close session not there. Now response gone. After doing all the three method call, response gone. That time request object is destroyed. Destroyed means request destroyed method will execute, and that is closing the session. Easy, na? Is there any need of writing close session in every persist method of DAO? In every persistence method of DAO. Come on, guys. Sys request destroyed. Now you observe. Right click. Okay. No close session. Sorry. No close session here. No close session here. No close session here. Okay. No need of this. I just want to give the feeling whether it is executing or not. Run on server. Okay. Always use Tomcat. No. In future, I may change to another server. In future, I have to introduce Wildfly, not letter, not select. Say next, say finish. Say finish. Yeah, but listen here. When you give request to HTML file, also request object is created and destroyed. When you give request to another thing, also request object is created and destroyed. Don't forget that. Yeah, it came 16, get product details. Output came, response came. Observe request destroyed, executed or not. Observe request destroyed is executed or not. Come on, my dears. So are you worried about closing session? Sorry, are you worried about closing session, or my listener is taking care of that? Suppose request is doing 3 persistence operation. All 3 persistence operation will use same session. Okay, all same session. Okay, when response is delivered, request and response objects will be destroyed. When destroyed, automatically request destroyed method is executing. Anyhow, that request related session I closed or not. Anyhow, that request related session I closed or not. Array, nowadays people are using annotation Vanra Babu. What? Why are you bothered about configuring in web.xml? You want to configure in web.xml? Listener comma listener hyphen class tags are there. Mr. Nitin, listener comma listener hyphen class tags are there. I think you enjoyed this point. Array, big analyzation, lot of thought process is required. If someone asks you, where did you servlet listener in your project? At least you got something to discuss. At least you got something to discuss. Sir, you didn't discuss about session factory. I'm coming to that also. Don't worry. I'm coming to that also. No doubt, beautiful concept, boss. It's not that much easy to get the thought. Okay. In thread local managed session object based web application. Okay, we don't close session object. Okay, at the end of each persistence method. Yeah, the people who don't know, we don't to close. Are the people who don't know servlet, don't be panic. By today, okay, servlet story will be over. Again, we'll back to what? Normal standalone. Okay, I think 8-9 people who don't know servlet, I know they are feeling very heavy. Okay, like Deepan Singh yesterday, Deepan Singh and 1-2 guys. Okay, only today you bear it. Next, again, we'll go back to standalone application. So I have to give one example like this. Okay, end of the persistence method. Okay. Okay, boss. End of the At the end of each persistence method, because one request may call multiple persistence methods. Okay, and 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 we want to use same session object. Okay, in all persistence method calls of a request. So it is better to close session object. Okay, session object in we want to use in request destroyed method of servlet request listener which executes. Okay, for every request of hyphen response related request object destruction. I think those are having good fundamentals. Okay, destruction. because we want to use the same session object. Those are having servlet fundamentals. Those who studied servlets very nicely, I think for them goosebumps are coming on the body. How better we have used servlet, listener. Come on, goosebumps are coming. You'll get some kind of satisfaction when you understand this point. Understanding, I think when I got this thought, boss, I felt very happy, I felt very happy when I implemented first time in the company, when all teammates appreciated how you get this kind of thoughts, how you get this kind of thoughts. I felt very happy. So I hope you are also feeling the same. But servlet knowledge is required to understand this. Only matured candidate, depth candidate can understand this point to the core, to the core. Fine, yeah. Right, boss. I think everyone enjoyed this thought. Lakshmi, thank you, sir. Would you please show me once a session object? Go to create new session object in this application. Madam, in this application, I have only one persistence method. I cannot show practically, but I already demonstrated. I think you missed that session. Session 1 is equal to hibernate util dot close session. Sorry, hibernate util dot get session. Other day I have demonstrated. Please, guys, don't make every day as a new day. Session dot hash code. Right now, I don't have two persistence methods. To have two, that's why in one persist method, I try to call two session object. But to give the feeling, both are using same object. Both are using same object. I displayed hash code. Other day, remember? Okay, since on public demand, let me go for it. Run on server, say this, say next, say finish. $16. Output came. Tell me here. 280, 280. Lakshmi madam, I think you missed last session, it seems. I have already demonstrated. Actually, I should show one method calling another method. But right now, I am not in association mapping. That's the reason I am not able to show that. That's the reason in one method I got two session object. Actually, requirement is not there. Only for POC sake I have shown. I have to take this kind of use case. One persistence method calling another persistence method. I have to print session ID here, session object ID here, session object hash code here. All the three times it has to show same hash code. But right now I don't have that interlinking method. Only to cue the practical feeling, in the same method I got two session object, but both are same session object, because object is coming from thread local. For one thread, one request, one thread, one session object. I hope everyone got this concept. Okay, boss. Now people are asking me, sir, this is done, super great. What about closing session factory objects, sir? Session factory object. Tell me, you have to close session factory object at the end of every persistence method, at the end of each request, at the end of each request, at the end of every persistence method. Huh? You have to close only once at the end of entire application execution. You have to close it only for one time at the end of entire application execution. End of entire work. entire process. Understanding my statement? Understanding my statement? Someone says that place in destroy method of the servlets are. Or if 2-3 servlets are there, if 2-3 servlets are there, in which service? In which servlet destroy method? No, destroy method of servlet is not good. Think in listener angle. Think in listener angle. Think in listener angle. Gopal Kumar, you are right. Manideep Kumar, you are right. Manideep Kumar, think in listener angle. Which listener? Again, request listener. Array filter also executes at the time of response, na every response. You want to close the session factory object for every request response, or at the end of all request and responses? Subham Mukhya, wrong. Request listener execute. Funny, right. Request listener execute. Ishika, right. Destroy method, just now I ruled out a worst fellow, Neeraj Chaudhary. Again, how can you say destroy method? Tell me. Request listener execute for every request object destruction. 20 requests are given. 20 request objects are created and destroyed. 20 times request destroyed method is executed. Come on, guys. 20 times request destroyed method is executed. I want reply. But you want to close session factory object 20 times? No. You want to close only for one time. Tell me, which object will be created once, which object will be destroyed once for entire web application? Servlet context object. If you want to do activities based on servlet context object creation and destruction, servlet context object creation and destruction, what is the listener we should use? What is the listener we should use? Servlet context listener. What listener, my dear? Servlet context listener. Come on. When servlet context object is created and destroyed, only this listener will execute. Okay, think about destruction. When servlet context object will be destroyed? When we stop the web application, when you stop the server, when you reload the web application. Okay, that means indirectly at the end of the application. Come on, guys. Indirectly, it is at the end of the application. Okay, I think that is enough now. Sir, in standalone application, this much headache is not there, na, sir. In standalone application, this much headache will not be there, boss. Why? Why will not be there? Tell me. Because end of the main method application gone. At the end of the main method, we close the session factory. Are you understanding my point there? But web application, no main method. Okay, so we have to know which object is manipulated at the time of undeployment of the web application. When we stop the web application, when we reload the web application, which object will be participating in the destruction? Yeah, what is that object that will be participating, boss? Servlet context object. So on the destruction of servlet context object, you have to think about closing session factory. Okay. I think everyone convinced with me. Don't say modestly. These are great thoughts, boss. Tell me your close. Session factory closing. Session factory closing. Session factory closing. Context listener. LISTENER. Context listener. Add servlet context listener. Save OK, save finish. Save OK, save finish. Okay, how to make it as a web listener? @web listener. What is the method? Context destroyed. When this will execute only for one time when servlet context object is destroyed. Servlet context object will be destroyed when at the end of the web application. What do you mean by end of the web application? When web application is stopped or reloaded, or when we stop the server. For all these things, boss, right? Okay, here what should I do? Hibernate util dot. Hibernate util dot. Close session factory. Hibernate util dot close session factory. Everyone enjoyed this? Yes. Okay, boss. Now let me say systrace to give the feeling this method is executing. Nice, guys. Right click, run on server, say next, save finish. Say next, save finish. 16, it is hitting the database and gets the record. Okay, what is the session object here? 044. 044 home. 23 product not found. Product not found. Another session object. Why? One per request, Nara Babu. First time one request, this time one request. I think my theory and practicals matching, but right now we are not for that. Right now we are not for that. Are you understanding my point? Right now we are not for that. Right now we are for what purpose? I have to show when I stop the server or when I reload the web application, this servlet context object is destroyed or not. I'm right clicking on it. Okay. Right clicking on it, say stop or restart, or I should not stop blindly. Let's still go to console. Actually, one black color message came if you observe very carefully. Come on, guys. Come on, guys. If you tell all these things in the interview, why they will not think you are from industry, ra? Tell me. Why they will not think that you are from industry? Someone asking, sir, my application runs 24/7. Then what, sir? Then what is the need of closing session factory object? Tell me. If your application is running 24/7, what is need of closing session factory? Let it be. Because when application in execution, we need same session factory object running forever, na? Yes, Rakesh is asking me one question. Sir, my application is running 24/7. Then what is need? Sir, when application is running 24/7, 24/7 we need session factory object, na boss. Why don't you think in that angle? Right. In web applications, in web applications, in web applications, okay, in web application, we need to close session factory object at the end of web application execution. Okay. At the end of web application execution. Like when server is stopped, or web application is stopped or reloaded. Stopped or reloaded. Sorry, stopped or reloaded. Come on, guys, come on. Stopped or reloaded. For all these activities, for all these activities, for all these activities, are you getting my point? Session factory, servlet context object will be destroyed. So by using context destroyed method of servlet context interface. So by using context destroyed method of servlet context interface, we can close session factory object. Method of servlet context listener. Sorry. Listener. We can close session factory object. What object here? We can close session factory object. Yes. Copy this. Yes. Are you getting my point there or not? Okay, now I will tell the twist in the story. This is perfect and great. I think so far everything is good. Shall I move to next discussion? Shall I move to next discussion? Yeah, if you are having any problem, first update your knowledge of servlet listener and go through this. Then you will enjoy like anything. Okay? Right, come back. Fine. See, boss. Hibernate says one thing. A programmer, you don't take tension of creating session object and keeping in thread local and destroying session object when that thread is gone, request is gone. You don't worry about that, my dear. I will take care. I will take care. But you just guide me. You just instruct me. You just tell me. Okay, I will take care of such kind of activities. Really, sir? Yes. But for that one, we have to use a concept called contextual session. What is the concept here? Contextual session. That means session object will be created according to the contract, according to the context you specify. You ask session object, Hibernate to create session object, one per thread. It will create one per thread internally by keeping thread local. Another situation you have given, it will create according to another situation. So that is called contextual session. Contextual session. For that purpose, we should not use factory.open session method. We should use factory.getCurrent session method. So far, we have used what? Factory.open session method. Hibernate util.get session is user defined method. It is our choice method. Leave it. Don't compare with that. So far, we have used what? Factory.open session method. What this open session method says, whenever you call, I will give new session object. But what this get current session says, according to the contract, according to the conditions you specify, I will decide whether I should create new session object or I should use existing session object. Are you getting my point? Yes, listen. So there is a beautiful concept called contextual session. You type just contextual session. Session in Hibernate. Session in Hibernate. Official documentation only. You have an official documentation here. What happened to net here? Ayyo. Site cannot be reached. What's happening, guys? JBoss website today is giving error. Site cannot be reached. Site down, no problem. We will see though one more option. Contextual session. Contextual session is contextual session. Observe this. Contextual session means session factory for this one. This will return session object associated with the current JTA transaction. Of course, you need to have JTA transaction, but that's not a big deal. For example, EasyB transaction JTA. Actually, they have not given complete information, boss. Not only JTA transaction, actually, why our official website is not working, Ra Babu? Our official website should work, na? Yeah, contextual session. Yes, we got it. Check it out. Listen, boss. Listen. In 3 environments, it can create the object. Number 1, JTA session context. When you enable JTA transaction, according to it will create. Thread local session context. Come on here. And managed session context. You can customize your thing. However you want, it will create. But right now, I'm worried about this one here. Right now, I'm worried about this one. Thread local session context. You call factory.get current session and tell to Hibernate, okay, create session object per thread. See, sessions are tracked by thread execution. Sessions are tracked by thread execution. For each thread, one session object is created. But you have to tell to Hibernate, I need in this context, in this condition. Now listen, if I say JTA session context, current sessions are tracked by scope of JTA transaction. The processing here exactly same as what? Older JTA approach, see the details. That means when you have a server managed transaction management, according to that each transaction, it will create one session object. Then what about managed session contexts are? Current sessions are tracked by thread execution. However, you are responsible to unbind a session instance with static methods of this class. It does not open, flush, close session automatically. It is same as thread boss, but we have to manually close them. We have to manually flush that. So closing is our responsibility. Here we have to close manually. But here, per thread session will be created automatically. Per thread session will be closed automatically. Tell me here, out of all the three things, which is suitable for us? First, second, third. For our application, which is suitable? First, second, third. Second one is suitable or not? Not JTA transaction, Ra Babu. Rahul. Second one, na? Second one is suitable because one request, one thread. Thread gone, session should be closed. Thread gone, session should be closed. What do you say, guys? So second one is suitable or not? Sir, that thought is nice, but how to implement it practically? Very simple. In configuration file, you should add this entry, boss. In configuration file, you should add this entry. Current session context class. If this entry value is this class, for JTA transaction, one session object. For this entry, if this is the value, per thread, one session object. For this property, if this is the value, per thread, one session object, but you have to manually close the session object. Lot of activities we have to do manually. Okay, but listen carefully. Okay, JTA means in transaction management we will get, don't worry about it. Now listen. What I want to try to say is, but you need not to write this lengthy class name. Short names also given. Short names also given, boss. You can place short names. You can place short names also, alias names also. Here JTA, here thread, here managed. Okay, if you write those short name, exactly same meaning will be applied. What will be applied? Same meaning will be applied. You can write short name. That means this is Hibernate property name, boss. These are the possible values. You can write complete class name or alias names also. You can write what? Alias names also. Are you getting my point? Yes. Okay, boss. So let me put a presentation in our angle. This makes session factory object to create HB session object based on the context or condition we specify in the Hibernate configuration file for don't mug up the property name, such property names for property property property. In hibernate dot cfz dot xml, in hibernate dot cfz dot xml, what is the property name, boss? Property name is equal to paste. Okay, what are the possible values? Thread is one possible value. Close property. Close property. Thread is one possible value. Next, JTA is one possible value. Next, JTA is one possible value. Lastly, what is there? Okay, managed is one possible value. These are the short names, but internally they are actual names. See, boss, instead of generators, generators are classes. Generators are classes. Are you getting my point? Generators are classes, but we are writing short names there or not? We are writing short names there or not? Come on, guys. And no default value. Every value you have to mention explicitly. Every value you have to mention explicitly, boss. Okay. Every value you have to mention explicitly. So come here, copy this, paste them. Oh, number 1, number 2, number 3. Yeah, this is the first value, boss. In the bracket, what is there? Thread. In the bracket, thread. This is the second value. Not thread, sorry. In the bracket, what is that? JTA. Yeah. So right now I cannot talk about, I cannot present JTA. We will see later while working with the server manager transaction management. So see the Java doc details not required. Okay. Here session objects will be closed automatically at the end of thread. At the end of thread. Yeah, this is second one. This is the second one. This is the third one. Third one. Yes. Okay. So useful while working with Spring transactions or server managed transactions. Yes. Array, generally, right now we are using Hibernate transactions here. No, I don't want to use Hibernate transaction. I want to use Spring transaction or server managed transaction. I think those who studied transaction management of Spring with me, we have worked with WebLogic managed transaction management. Okay, third party transactions we have used are not there. So I want to create session object for each transaction that is created with respect to what Spring transaction or server managed transaction at that time. So right now we are dealing with Hibernate transaction. This value is not applicable for us, but this value or this you can use. But this means I have to manually close session. I have to manually, okay, do the things manually. So I want to do every management manually. So it is like what open session method only almost. So that's the reason I am going to prefer work with what thread suitable in web application. Suitable for web application. Understanding my statement? So these are the possible values. But sir, all these things will not work when you call open session method. All these things takes place. All these instructions will be considered, will be considered, will be considered when we call, only when we create, only when we call factory dot get current session method, only when we call factory dot get current session method to get the session object, to get the session object. This is very, very important. Okay, what is example, boss? Example application. Step number 1, keep any web application ready, any web application ready that is using Hibernate, that is using Hibernate. Understanding my statement? Yes. So what I do is I will keep this one ready. Say paste. 32 web product search. Fine. Whatever the name here, that's not an issue. 32 product search. Close the project. Sir, what is your conclusion? Conclusion is very simple. Hey, my dear, you need not to create session object. You need not to put manually in thread local. Hibernate can do that internally. Hey, programmer, you need not to close session object by taking servlet request listener. Hibernate will take care internally. Hibernate will take care of that point internally. When if you use get current session method, not the open session method. Lots of people don't know get current session method, and the interviewer is going to ask this question in two ways. Number one, what is the difference between open session and get current session? Another angle is what? Another angle is what? What is contextual session? The real working people only can know will understand importance of it and will use this one. In Amirpet, in a training places, open session is popular here. But in real scenarios, open session is not popular. Get current session is popular. Get current session is popular. How did you create session object in your project? You said I used factory.open session. Already doubted your knowledge of Hibernate 5 90%. Only 10% belief is there you are a working guy. Okay. So you said most of the situation I have preferred contextual session. Then you will think that you are a working guy. You are working guy. So otherwise do one thing. Some people already completed are working on Hibernate here and there, right? Go and talk with them. Go and talk with them. They will tell the importance of what? Get current session. Because if I say you may not believe me, because I'm a just faculty every day telling important. You talk to working people, then at least they will make you to realize. Did you ever talk with working people on our classroom concepts here? Anyone talking with working people regarding our classroom concepts? Cross verify once in a while. At least you will get more motivation to hard work. Refresh Gradle project. Chatbox is working on ATA. Okay. Right. Yes, boss. Now come back. So, sir, whatever hard work you have done to introduce thread local, whatever hard work you have done to introduce servlet request listener, wasted na? Who said wasted? Who said wasted? Array, at least now we can keep them as internals of get current session na? Earlier we have done. Now because of that we are able to understand how get current session is working. Should I explain internals of get current session separately? No, because already we implemented practically. Hibernate says, hey programmer, you don't implement, get current session will take care. Get current session will take care. But if you want to work with the get current session, you must write that entry. What entry? Contextual session entry in configuration file. Without that, if you try to do, you will get error, boss. First, okay, I kept that one ready, boss. Step number 2, enable contextual session in a Hibernate configuration file having thread as the value. Having thread as the value. Having thread as the value. Okay. So I will come to this, my dear. Configuration file. Configuration file. Server managed connection pool. So I will write one extra entry. Contextual session. Contextual. Context means contract. Condition based session. Earlier, every time you call session, every time session object came. But open session is like that. Contextual session. Contextual session. Contextual session. What's the entry we got? What's the property we got here? This is the property. Contextual session. Property name is equal to, what is that? Thread. THREAD, thread. Done, boss. If you want, you can write lengthy class names also. Your choice, but I prefer writing short names. I prefer writing short names. Or you can write lengthy class name. Already I have given this lengthy class names. It's up to you. Okay, na? Fine. Okay, next. Improve. Hibernate util.java. Hibernate util.java by calling factory dot get current session method. Factory dot get current session method. Factory dot get current session method. Contextual session, copy this, say paste. Okay, boss. Right, here is my thread. Here is my thread. Right, boss. Let's go for Hibernate util.java. Hibernate util.java. Do I need to take thread local? No. It will take care. Do I need to take thread local? No, not required. No need of thread local story. No need of thread local story. No need of thread local story. Come on, guys. No need of closing session. Why? Get contextual session will take care of closing session. You are least bother about closing session. Only the thing is, here we should call get current session. See this? Get current session. Obtains the current session. Definition, what exactly current means? Controlled by implementation, compatibility. See this one, current session context, JTA IMPL. Note that for backward compatibility of what current session context is not configured, but JTA configured will default to JTA current context. Array nowadays thread. In latest version, they are not giving thread. What badness here? Okay, we'll see. Okay, they are not giving thread, it seems, in latest versions. Right, boss? Factory dot get current session. Factory dot get current session. This is improvised here. This is improvised one. No need of thread local, nothing. Okay. Copy this, paste it. Bold one, here is red color one. Bold one, here is red color one. SCS is equal to factory dot get current session. Step number 4. Code also decreased here. That's not an issue now. Okay. But listen, one small condition is there. What is that you know? What is that you know? Where is this? Acha, now there is no need of taking request listener, boss. Session closing listener is not required because that will take care of closing automatically. Fine. Yeah, one small point is there. I will tell that. First, let me show the error. Actually, without you have to begin transaction here. Hibernate transact without transaction, you cannot work with the contextual session. That's a small thing is there. Web project setting 32. Okay, 32 coming nicely. Fine. Okay, here no need of taking. Not here, no need of taking. What is that? Servlet request listener. Servlet request listener to close session object. And no need of placing close session method. close session method in Hibernate util class. In Hibernate util.java. Simply in Hibernate util.java, no need of placing it. Fine. One more small thing is there. I will show that. Run on server. Say next. Remove all. 32 only we are running. 32 only we are running. 32 only we are running. Oh, deployment assembly boss, nothing is there. Here also, once you do deployment assembly, add folder, web content, apply, close. Apply, close. What is this? Run on server, next, finish. Run on server, next, finish. Restart server. It's coming, boss. 16. Internal problem. That means some exception came. What is the exception you observe? Calling get method without valid active transaction. See, boss, whether you are using transaction or not, but transaction is required. If you want to use get current session, one transaction is required here. One transaction is required. Are you getting my point? So that's why one dummy dummy begin transaction method you have to call. Actually, it's a non-select operation. It's not a non-select operation. Transaction is not required. Actually not required. Are you getting my point? But still only to satisfy the requirement, I am creating one dummy method. Dummy begin transaction. Okay, what is this? Session dot transaction tx is equal to null. We are not going to use this one anywhere. Tx is equal to session dot begin transaction. Session dot begin transaction. This is only one headache, one dummy transaction you have to call. Fine. Right click, run on server, say next, say finish. It came, it came 16. Still same error. Null pointer exception. Why so? Why null pointer exception, ra babu? Acha. Mistake is mine. Right. Okay. Dummy transaction here. Sorry, dummy transaction here. Let's create dummy transaction there. Too much of Java is not good for health sometimes. I thought of dummy, na, let's create somewhere. Run on server, say next, say finish. $16. Taking this much time means output is coming. See, boss, how many sessions I asked? 2 sessions. 669. Am I writing thread local? Am I writing thread local? Same effect here. Whatever hard work I have done, same effect is coming through get current session method or not. Get current session method or not. We are not writing thread local, but effect is coming or not. Effect is coming or not. Come on, guys. Sir, what about managed and JTA? JTA I cannot show now. Managed means yes, we can do it, but again you have to manually, okay, what is that? Again you have to manually close, manually flush. Okay, again, see, when you are performing non-select operation, you have to manually close, manually flush. Lot of hangama will be there. So managed also not recommended. So managed means programmer should manage many things. So that's why according to current situation, which is appropriate here, thread is appropriate. Okay. Thread is appropriate. No, Hibernate is not using listeners, boss. Hibernate is not using listeners here. Hibernate is once thread is over, for which thread it is created, once that thread is over, automatically removing the session object from thread local. Automatically removing what? Session object from thread local. So that's why you need not to worry about closing. Hibernate only taking care of that. Hibernate only keeping session object one per thread in thread local. Same Hibernate only removing, okay, session object from thread local once that thread is died. So Hibernate is internally taking care of it. There is no improvisation for session factory. You have to close session factory manually. There is no improvisation for session factory. All these are related to session only. Enjoyed or not? Okay. What is step number 4? See, listen, taking transaction looks meaningless. I know that. Taking transaction looks meaningless. But if you take non-select operation, it never looks meaningless here. Right now, select operation, that's why it is looking meaningless. So, but what to do? Because without active transaction, they are not allowing us to deal with what? Okay, get current session method. Get current session user means one or other active transaction is required. Okay. Make sure that, okay, transaction TX is equal to, okay, transaction TX is equal to session dot begin transaction method is called, in the persistence methods of DAO class, though the persistence methods are performing select operations. Persistence methods are performing select operations. Persistence methods are performing select operation. In DAO class. No need of this one here. These are taken for knowledge sake. You know that. Cool na, boss? I think everyone got the contextual session. Yeah, Brahmaya Achari. Here we are beginning after getting session object. Then current session will take care of second time asked for session only. Because first time it is already giving session object, on that only we are calling begin transaction. No sir, no sir. Brahmaya Acharya, I didn't understand your question, boss. I didn't understand your question. Array, if you are using, say, generally, I called that twice, boss, to show. I called twice to show both are pointing to same session object. So when both are pointing to same session object, you begin transaction using first SCS or second SCS. What is the difference, man? What is the difference, man? Come on. I think you are feeling these two are two different session object, but I am saying both are pointing to same session object. Think in that angle. I hope I have given answer for your question. You are treating unnecessarily two different, but both are pointing to same object. You call begin transaction on first one or second one, active transaction is there on same session object only. Don't forget that. Right. Okay. Sir, it will execute for every call, na? Hibernate dot get session, both the times it will execute, but it internally contains the logic. It internally contains the logic to create one session object to keep in thread local. As long as same thread is asking more and more session object, it will give from the thread local. Who said this method executes only for one time? It executes how many times you call, those many times it will execute. But if all the times request is coming from same thread, it will create one session and it will reuse that session object. I think you got the clarity now. It execute multiple times. That's the beauty, na? It execute multiple times, but internally it has got the management logic. What logic we have written in respect to thread local, that logic is there inside this get current session method. Inside this get current session method, that logic is there. Okay, why to take chance? Click on this. Open implementation. Open implementation. Okay, which implementation you want? Session factory. So which implementation you want? Session factory, delegation IMPL, session factory IMPL. Okay, let me use this one. This one. See, current session context. Current session context. Then it is going to which one? Get current session method. You open the source code of get current session method. Again, see implementation. Again, see how many implementations are there? 3 are there. Come on. 3 are there. JTA managed thread local. Thread local connection. Observe. Somewhere thread local will be there. Check it out. Somewhere at the top of the classy thread local session factory comma session. Thread local map session factory comma session. Are you getting my point? Map of session factory comma session. Get current session. Okay, what is this? If null, build or obtain session. If null, otherwise wrap do bind current dot factory, validate existing and return current. See this, my theory and practicals are matching or not matching. It is now creating thread local dot with initial values of what? Hash map. Come on guys, in the source code also I have shown that. In the source code also I have shown that. Suppose, okay, get current session F3. F3. What's happening? Okay, open implementation. Open implementation, JTA context. JTA context. It is now dealing with what? Concurrent hash map. It is somehow it is dealing with what? See, get service registry, JTA platform. It is dealing with some JTA related things here. Transaction manager, some JTA related things. JTA transaction, server managed or Spring managed transactions will be utilized here. Understanding? See, synchronization, all this stuff. So you have to configure server managed transaction management, server managed transactions. Yes, when I launch transaction management, you will get more clarity on JTA. Managed means, yes, you have to write. Listen, F3, open implementation, managed session context, managed session context. See this? Here thread local is there. Here thread local is there. Okay. No, thread local is there, but very less code is there, boss. We have to manually close. We have to manually do all the operations because there is no guarantee it will do all the activities. So if you are interested, see the source code once, you will get the clarity about all the things. I think you know the shortcut keys na? F3, F4. F3, F3. If you use F3, you will get the source code. Convinced or not? Sir, I have taken get current session, but I have not configured this context mode. I have not configured any context mode. Then what happens? You will get exception, boss. You will get exception. You will get exception. Get current session 16. Internal problem exception will come. Check it out. And if you observe the server console, no context configured. No current session context configured. That means get current session means you must configure it. You must configure it. If we call factory dot get current session, if we call factory dot get current session method without configuring contextual session property in Hibernate configuration file. Array, what is the real property name, boss? What is the real property name? This is the real property name. In Hibernate configuration method, in Hibernate configuration file, then we get what exception, boss? This exception. Copy this, paste it. We simply get what exception? This exception. Control B. Right. Now, next question, yes. What is the difference between factory dot open session and factory dot get current session methods? factory dot get current session methods. Okay, very important. Arre, arre, arre. What is the difference between these two things, boss? Tell me, guys. One side open session, factory dot open session method. Another side factory dot get current session method. Understood my point there or not there? Super boss. Yes, tell me. Creates and returns new session object always. Creates and returns new hibernate session object always. Always. Next, B. Yeah. Creates and returns. Creates or locates. Creates or locates and returns. Okay. Hibernate session object based on the context or contract that is specified in Hibernate configuration file using which property, boss? Using which special property? Using which special property? Using which property? This property. Abba, what happened, guys? I'm losing both. Property. What is this? Factory dot get current session. Factory dot get current session methods. Yeah. Next one, B. Next one is what? B. Useful to create session object on one per each persistence operation. On one per each persistence operation basis. Useful to create session object on one per each persistence operation basis. Say paste. Useful to create session object. Okay. Useful to create session object on one per thread or request basis. One per thread or request basis. That means all persistence operations, all persistence operations, all persistence operation or related persistence operations of a request will use same session object. Same session object. Yeah. If someone asks you how many strategies are there to create session object, what you say here? One per each persistence operation, one per related persistence operation. You will say two strategies are not there. Yes. Right. Next. No need of configuring any properties in Hibernate configuration file. Hibernate configuration file. Property must be configured having values thread oblique JTA oblique managed value managed value D no need of taking transaction for select operations. Okay, one dummy transaction is required. One dummy transaction is required. Understanding? One dummy transaction is required. One dummy transaction is required. For whom here? Even for select operation. Even for select operations. Yes. Not so industry standard. Not so industry standard. Very much industry standard. Very much industry standard. Come on, guys. I think today's class you enjoyed like anything. Today's class you enjoyed like anything. Come on, guys. Sir, which applications get open session is required? Are in standalone also, who knows? One task may have 2-3 persistence operation. They're also better to go for what? They're also better to go for what? Get current session only, na? They're also better to go for what? Get current session. Understanding? So in standalone or web application, now onwards, maximum you prefer working with what? Get current session. As my student, give less importance to open session, give more importance to get session. You know, lots of people don't know get current session. If they know also, they will think that it is one more method to create the session object. And you know what is the funny part, you know? Okay, some people knows because it is there in one or other FAQ, they call it, they will get exception. They will say it is not working, bug in Hibernate. Okay, why it is not working? Because we have not configured contextual session in the configuration file. Without configuring contextual session value, okay, current session context value in the configuration file, get current session will not work. Will not work. Understanding my point? Yes. If we give managed again, we need to take thread local object na same session use case related operations in manually. Brahmaya Achari, there is no need. There is no need of taking thread local if you go for get current session. I don't know where you stuck up here. You are not coming out. We are not coming out of that point. Sir, if we given managed, in managed thread local part, it will take care, but closing part, flushing part, you have to take care manually. Are just now I have shown in managed also thread local is there. Only flushing part, closing part, that part we have to take care manually. Thread local will be taken care. See the description. Why are you going by my statements? See the description. It also keeps thread local. Current sessions are tracked by thread execution. Thread execution, however, you are responsible to bind or unbind a session instance with static methods on this class. It does not open, flush, close a session. So thread local is coming, but binding or not binding or all these things you have to take care manually. You have to take care. Otherwise, do one thing, Brahmayacharya, read documentation of this class. You will get more clarity. If possible, read documentation of that class. But in my life, I have used thread only, boss. I got rarely chance to work with JTA and managed. In fact, I never worked with managed and JTA. I always worked with a thread. Right? Okay, with this connection pooling concept is over. Should I show in Wildfly server or you will try on your own? Should I show how to create connection pool in Wildfly server or you will try on your own? I think Nirmal Sahu has uploaded some. You try, boss. You try. You try. Okay, you try. Nirmal Sahu or some other students uploaded how to create connection pool. How to create connection pool in Wildfly server along with installation process. Try. If not coming, let me know. I will show. JTA is not only for distributed, for server managed transaction. Yeah, JTA is for distributed transaction management, I can say. Yeah, we studied Wildfly connection pool creation in the Servlet class. JSTL, it will take time. I will announce. Don't worry. Sir, see, Java 15, Java 14, nothing, sir. I just configure, but we use the features of Java 8, 9, and 10. If I configure 15 also, since the APIs and servers are given, frameworks are given up to Java 10, 11 feature, we use only those features, not every feature. Configuration wise, 15 we'll keep, but max to max, we use 8, 9, 10 features. Nowadays, I started using 1, 2 features of Java 10 that were variable to declare variable. Any version you configure, but first of all, we can use those features that are required, right? Fine, yeah. Practice. Connection pool discussion is very, very important. Don't miss it. Thank you. See, the way I presented is very important. First, I have implemented same logic manually. Then I said, no need of implementing manually. Already such logics are there. Through Hibernate. Thank you. Have a nice time.